Hello and welcome back to my studio. In this, the third part in the Impressionist Painting Technique series, we're going to start the exciting subject of Impressionist Color. So join me in this video as you're going to learn a lot about Impressionist Color and how you can use that in your own paintings. Now, Impressionist Color is really such an exciting topic. There is some scientific background to it. The Impressionists were right in the middle of the Industrial Revolution as well, so there's a lot going on in the industries which also influenced the development of paint and painting materials. Then there was the whole rebellion against the old master style of painting. So what did they use to replace the colors and techniques used by the old masters? So the Impressionists really made such a fundamental change to painting, and it's no wonder it is still such a popular topic today. So let's dig down into some of the interesting things about Impressionist painting color. We're going to look at luminosity, what colors we should still use today, the use of black or not as a color in your painting, and broken color. Does it work? Should it be something we still use today, or can we adapt it? So let's get into the subject of Impressionist color in a bit more detail. And the Impressionist movement was characterized by an emphasis on capturing the fleeting and changing colors of nature, rather than depicting objects in a realistic way. So this approach to color perception led to changes in the use of color itself. Color was no longer just an objective property of the object being painted. Color now became a subjective experience influenced by the lighting and atmosphere of the moment. So to catch these fleeting and ephemeral qualities of color, the Impressionists used loose, expressive brushstrokes and bright, luminous color. And this bright, luminous color captured the nuances of light and shadow as they perceived it in the moment. A moment in time, a mood, or the feeling of the scene. This is what they were after. So this is how to use color. Color must try to help communicate this perception of the moment, the light and atmosphere, to the person viewing the painting. So this approach opened up new possibilities for the use of color, and we need to ensure that we actually are using color in this emotional way. So broken color, we've heard that term before and I've referred to it in the introductory series video. Now let's have a look at the Impressionist use of broken color. The idea is to place, for example, complementary colors adjacent to each other. And this they based on the scientific understanding of how the human eye perceives color. When complementary colors are placed side by side, the eye perceives a visual vibration that enhances the intensity and luminosity of both colors. So this broken color technique is how the Impressionists try to create vibrant and lively painting surfaces. Another big step in the Impressionist movement and use of color is the discovery that shadows are not simply black or gray, but actually contain a variety of colors, including blue. This was a scientific discovery made in the mid-19th century based on the work of a physicist called James Clerk Maxwell, who demonstrated that white light is composed of a spectrum of colors. Now in shadows you get a blue glow of light, and this was proven in these scientific discoveries. So the Impressionists used this knowledge to incorporate blue tones into their shadows and create a more natural and atmospheric effect in their paintings. So light and shadow, this is a big deal, and it is a new approach. So instead of using traditional methods of shading, they used color to capture the changing effects of light and shadow on an object, and they did this by using complementary colors, which are the colors opposite on the color wheel, of course, and placing these next to each other, we get that vibrating luminous color we spoke about earlier. But they also used warm and cool colors, and this is really such an important lesson we need to remember. warm and cool colors create depth and dimension in your painting. Warm colors, red and orange for example, and yellow appear to come forward in a painting, and cool colors such as blue and green recede. So by using the warm colors in the foreground and cool colors in the background, the Impressionists created the sense of depth and dimension in the paintings. Now you'll find when you use these warm and cool colors and you treat your shadows as more than just a dark spot on your painting, you will find your paintings come alive just by adding some cool dark blues and blue violets into your shadows. The luminosity of your paintings will be transformed. So try that if you're not sure. Now this brings me on to another interesting topic, is the Impressionist attitude to black paint. Now by and large, black paint wasn't lost completely, but the Impressionists were not a fan of black paint, certainly not as much as the old masters were. So they kind of abandoned black paint, partly based on the scientific discoveries I mentioned earlier, and they believed that shadows and darks were not just black, but rather composed of different colors that were affected by the surrounding light. So on a warm, sunny day, the shadows are going to appear cool, and cool colors need to be used. Not just a black shadow, but use cool colors to create a vibrant and bright color area within the shadows. Now traditionally the old masters would have used a very dark color, burnt umber or black, and made the shadows dark. And the Impressionists, part of their rebellion was to reject this traditional approach. And they didn't want dull or lifeless images with just these black holes in the painting, but they wanted vibrant and lively color. So they adopted brighter and more colorful colors for their paintings. And by using blue and other colors in their shadows, they created a greater sense of depth and atmosphere. Now another big deal in the time of the Impressionists was that this was the middle of the Industrial Revolution, and new discoveries were coming onto the market all the time. And one of these was new colors. So a big difference between the Impressionists and the old masters is the use of these new colors. Coupled with this was the invention of the paint tube, which allowed the artist to go outdoors and paint more easily. So with paint tubes, the Impressionists could go outdoors and face nature directly and use these new ideas about color. And this led to the use of vivid colors. Blues, greens, and pinks came into Impressionist painting, and we didn't really see that in the old master paintings. Examples of new colors: cobalt blue and emerald green, and these allowed the Impressionists to experiment with more vibrant and luminous color and create those shimmering and vibrating color effects. Now we have the benefit of almost a limitless choice of colors, but for an Impressionist kind of painting today, a good palette to use is a small palette, and the following colors are a good palette to use: titanium white, cadmium yellow lemon or yellow light, and a warm color like cadmium yellow deep. Your reds could be cadmium red light or naphthol red, and a cool red like alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue and cerulean blue, and yellow ochre and burnt sienna. And you can consider adding viridian green as well, because there are certain colors that are more difficult to mix the correct vibrancy of green, and viridian may just be the thing you need to create those special colors. Good quality student paints are great to practice on. That's why they're called student paints. But when you feel more confident, start adding artist grade paints as well. And I suggest something like a Rembrandt range of paints. Those are really good value and good quality, and I have some videos on reviewing those paints as well. One of the topics mentioned quite often is luminosity of color. What exactly is luminosity in the context of the Impressionist paintings? Luminosity refers to the appearance of light and the effect it has on colors. So we know that the Impressionists were interested in capturing the changing qualities of light and the way it transforms a color. And they used broken color and brushstrokes to create this optical mixing of color. And this gives the impression of luminosity. So by placing small dots or strokes of contrasting colors next to each other, they created a vibrancy and luminosity not found in traditional blended painting techniques used by the old masters. It is that glowing sense of light coming from the color that the Impressionists wanted to describe not only direct light but also the half light and shadows. Now, how successful was this broken color technique, and did it actually work as they intended it to or believed in theory? Well, no, not entirely. The human eye is just too complex. We weren't looking at the painting and seeing another color magically being mixed optically. Consider the extreme form of broken color in pointillism. Those paintings by Georges Seurat. Well, they still look kind of stiff, don't they? So not entirely successful, but still an extremely interesting painting. And that was the real success of the Impressionist broken color approach. A lively, colorful, interesting painting surface that was just so compelling and had the emotional content. That is, our feeling and our understanding of the scene. We knew what was going on. We felt it. And I think that is the profound success of the Impressionist use of color. Now, it's this aspect that I'm going to take forward into part 4 of this series when we move into the post-Impressionist and more contemporary use of Impressionism. And you'll see just how we've taken the essence of Impressionism and brought that into a more contemporary use and something more relevant for us today, perhaps. So you decide that for yourself, but don't miss part 4 and make sure you've subscribed to this channel so you're in time to see that as it is launched. Well, I hope this series so far is proving interesting to you and you're learning a few things that you can apply. Maybe it stimulates some ideas and some changes you want to make to your painting. That's what this is all about. Now don't forget, I've got a free course for you up here. You can also find out about my Impressionist painting course in the description below, where you can really get stuck into Impressionist painting techniques and apply them to your work today. So check that out if you're interested in getting into the subject a little more deeply. Well, until next time, and in part 4, we'll be talking about Impressionist color once again. So until then, enjoy your painting and cheers for now.